Hello, this is a news again. President Kagame feels vindicated by military coups joins protests. President Paul Kagame speaking during the press conference. President Paul Kagame on Thursday delivered one of his master director on philosophy's core analysis of Africa's political instability, addressing the surge of couples, the rise of generous protest movements, and the fears of governance he believes were at the heart of both trends. Drawing from events across the continent, Kagame painted a picture of a political environment where leaders ignore warning signs, international actors apply double standards, and young people rush out when they feel excluded from their country's future. The president reportedly insisted that recent events in West Africa, military mutinies, popular uprisings, and contested elections validate point he has made for years about the dangers of pretending that constitutional rule automatically equals good governance. John's protests as a warning to readers. Kagame said the growing wave of youth protests on the continent, popular framed as the GenZ poisons, should not surprise anyone. These eruptions here are the consequences of deep structural theories, especially dishonest leadership, mismanagement of resources, and effort to engage young people meaningful in national processes. The president explained that engaged occurs without warnings. It's bored over time, he said, in societies where leaders fail to communicate honestly about limited national resources, stand back of the reduction of development assistance. When leaders explain royalty transparency, he said, people will often be patient if somebody has a problem and understand they won't be violent. But Kagame wants that youth become history when they suspect corruption or manipulation. Young people may applaud the leader in public, he said, but in their hearts they are keeping in grudge. Once citizens believe that orders are unleashing themselves, boarding castles and policy of bristles, their frustration becomes combustible. Why would anybody get angry with me if I have explained? He asked. But if they suspect you are taking money for yourself, they will not be sympathetic. Kagame alleged that leaders have an obligation to engage young people before their frustrations reach breaking points. Youth activism, he said, they should be understood as a message, not a threat. We may need to find a way of making these young people responsible so that they feel they are part of the country and therefore are no need to overthrow. He noted that once young people feel excluded or saved, the momentum can swim quickly, and leaders must act early to address this reality. Good couples and bad couples. Kagame also elevated his remarks about couples, comment that generated considerable discussion across Africa. He stood by his view that not all couples are moral or political equivalent, noting that some image out of sheer opportunism, while others are arises from genuine public outrage against abusive or corrupt regimes. For me, there are good couples and bad couples, he said. He described the bad couples as those driven by reckless officers who take power simply because they command guns. Good couples, as he described them, imagine situations where citizens and soldiers alike concluded that their leaders have gone too far, lying, stealing, repressing, and manipulating elections. If somebody says these guys have been telling us lies, enriching themselves, cheating us, we can't have it anymore, and they act it as think, but I'm okay with it, he said. Kagame said, however, that even such couples are only justifiable if they lead to improvement. If you come and do the very things you overthrow, people fall or do worse, then why did you carry out the couple? That one deserves another couple or should go to jail. Mentioning recent examples in Guinea-Bissau and Madagascar, Kagame said the recent military takeovers reinforced what he was warned for years, that couples rarely lived in places where governance is health. When I heard about the couple in Guinea-Bissau, I thought somebody was gathering a couple against himself, he said. But assuming it happened and that in Madagascar it happened, it means I have been vindicated. According to Kagame, cops almost always revolve along ignored problems, corruption, election fraud, or political repression, often hidden behind official narratives of stability. Once there is a couple, maybe 90% price is means in that price there has been a problem. He said people have been covering it up. He added that someone the government interpreted by recent couples were the same. One is reportedly praised by Western actors who terrorize about their governance records while ignoring abuses on the ground. Congress elections as smoke screen elections did not happen. Kagame also issued one of his strongest critical yet of political development in the Democratic Republic of Congo, sharply questioning the legitimacy of the country's electoral process. He referred to a man in our neighborhood who raises the whole load and causes all kinds of troubles before turning to the manner in which they come to power. And instead, dear Kagame said Congo's recent elections were a smoke screen, adding bluntly, elections did not happen. He suggested that even the first transfer of power in Kinshasa was not the democratic breakout it was portrayed to be internationally. The first time there was just a hand over his fraud, Kagame said, adding that the pattern was repeated in this subsequent election. Without naming President Felix Tshisekedi, Director he warned that Congo was heading for yet another manipulated electoral cycle. You are likely to have a third one coming back and the same flood. Kagame criticized what he had described as the hypocrisy of international actors who were far aware of their realities but rushed to congratulate Congo's leadership after each electoral cycle. He said the same government that preach democracy are often the first to send congratulatory messages even when they are briefed about electoral irregularities. This hierarchy did not only entrenches authoritarianism but emboldens leaders to continue abusing their populations while enjoying external legitimacy. Challenging civilian exceptionalism, Kagame argued that Africa must stop pretending that civilian rule is automatically legitimate, especially when those in power manipulate the constitutional framework to entrench themselves. He questioned why the international community condemns the couples on Kivu why turning a blind eye to civilian leaders who steal elections they enrich themselves or brutalize their populations. The Constitution does not provide for you to treat action, does it? He asked. There should be a mechanism at the African Union to hold civilians who are messing up their countries. He pointed to neighboring examples again referring to Congo, where elections did not happen yet for new governments lashed to congratulate their result. Such contradictions, he said, for the very stability the world claims to oppose. A critic of the national double standards, Kagame reserved some of these sharp characteristics for Western governments, accusing them of hypocrisy, for praising leaders who rig elections or violate human rights, often because of strategic or economic interests. He refers in instances in which powerful nations, for a while of electoral fraud, still issued congratulatory messages and pushed for business concessions, including deals for cobalt and other minerals. Foreign actors here often prioritize commercial advances of democratic principles. These are the same people who talk about democracy, Kagame said, but they are the first to send messages thank you very much, congratulations, even when they know bit love. Such behavior undermines Africa's efforts to build accountability and allows abusive regimes to survive for long than they should do. Accountability across the border. Throughout his remarks, President Kagame returned to a central conclusion: the political instability seen across Africa from GenZ uprisings to couples to questionable electoral processes in countries like Congo is rooted in governance failures and compounded by international inconsistencies. He said African leaders must be transparent, confront corruption, address grievances early, and communicate the honestly with their populations. At the same time, international actors must stop shielding leaders who cheat elections or mistreat their citizens. Through stability, Kagame requires accountability for civilians, soldiers, youth movement, regional actors, and foreign government alike. Only by addressing the interconnected theories, he said, the African nationals escaped the cycles of anger, lived diplomatic crisis, and coups now reshaping the continent. Thank you for subscribing.